So a couple years ago, despite me still looking like a 16-year-old, I turned the big 2-0. 20 years old. And yeah, that was my reaction there. I realized that I'm no longer a teenager, nor will I ever be a teenager again. When I was 19, I could blame my immaturity on the fact that I still had the word teen in my age. Or I could claim that I was super mature and could make my own life decisions. And I'm sure a lot of my friends and family could vouch for that. My mom probably remembers a time that I went out and didn't end up getting home till 5 or 6 a.m. because I didn't realize how the late night bus schedules worked. Anyways, as I lay awake in my bed a couple weeks ago, I started to freak out and wonder what the heck I'm doing with my life. Am I getting good enough grades? Am I being active enough in university? Am I missing out on anything? Or am I getting enough likes on my Instagram photos? These were the important questions I was asking myself. And I started to compare myself to others. Boyan Slat, a Dutch native, was able to create a machine that could clean oceans on a large scale at just 20 years old. Jason Levy, a professor at the University of Ottawa, was able to get his PhD in mathematics and statistics at just 20 years old. Even Kylie Jenner, maybe she looks older than she is, was able to create a makeup empire all by herself by the time she was 19. Well, maybe not all by herself. Well, here I am, Sandeep Bhogul, a third-year biomedical mechanical engineering student, which might sound a bit cool. However, I'm normally tagging my friends in those annoying Facebook memes. So this led me to not only freak out, but also have a full-on panic attack. However, I realized panicking wasn't going to help me much either, except probably make me want to pull out all my hair. And as you can see, there's a lot of it. So I developed a system, a 5-step system. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I'm going to share with you today, how I learned not to panic. So when someone panics as much as I did when I underwent this quarter-life crisis, it's because there's normally a deeper problem that needs to be addressed. Mine was that I thought I didn't accomplish as much as I wanted to in life, and that I wasn't taking full advantage of everything. And that brings me to step 1. In a difficult situation, remember to take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. I know most of you are in high school, maybe even university, and you probably know how intimidating and stressful it is to go into a new school environment, especially first-year university. I'm sure you've heard some horror stories. It's much larger than your average high school, with multiple campuses filled with masses of students and professors moving around you in a fast-paced environment. You go from having 30 students in a class to 300 in an auditorium-like setting. I mean, this is enough to intimidate anyone, and definitely scared the little young me. So I would always remember when I found myself in a difficult situation to take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. Or, if you're flexible enough, you could try some yoga, because that really helps with breathing. Step 2, to acknowledge and accept the problem. I went into university as an innocent 17-year-old, thinking I was prepared for the worst. But this resulted in me not really doing everything that I imagined I would do in university. I thought by the time that I was 20, I would be, a pretty cool girl in engineering with an A+ average, maybe even be a president of multiple clubs on campus, or not have to ask my friends or family to like my Instagram or Facebook photos anymore. I mean, that's pretty important, but seriously, who would even be able to handle this hectic schedule? When I realized I wasn't fulfilling all the dreams I had imagined I would in university, I started panicking, and I continued to push this aside until my final breakdown when I was 20. This is how a majority of people deal with stressful situations. They ignore it for a little bit, but then they start to panic. Even before I turned the dreadful age, I made a pact with one of my friends that we would stay 19 forever and continue to tell people that we are 19 years from now. But I don't think we could have gotten away with telling people we were 19 when we would have wrinkles and gray hair. Once I was able to acknowledge and accept the fact that I could not stop aging, trust me, I tried to negotiate with God, but it didn't work, and would have to leave my glorious teen years and enter into adulthood, I relaxed and was then able to plan for the future. Step 3, to find a balance in your life. As a kid, I was super shy at times, but this was also because I had a speech impediment and couldn't pronounce my R's. But as I got older, I overcame this, and I vowed to open up more and become more social. Especially in university, I wanted to be like a social butterfly, a nice girl who's really involved and a lot of people know. But as I mentioned before, when I went into first year, I was overwhelmed with the amount of work we had and how hard some of the courses were. And this led me to focus more on school and less on being a part of the university. But as second year came around, I wanted to improve that, and I wanted to join different clubs. So I became part of the Engineering Student Society and Women in Science and Engineering. However, my grades weren't that great. There's a famous phrase we say in university, C's get degrees. But as third year comes around, I want to find a balance between excelling academically and being involved in the university and not missing out on the social aspect of what university has to offer. So it's always important to try to find a balance in a difficult situation. And this leads nicely into step 4, to develop a plan with attainable goals and objectives. When we start to panic, whether it be how I was turning into a little old lady or how I didn't study enough for a final exam, I'm sure a lot of you can relate, we believe that it's the end of the world, which it clearly isn't. The majority of us tend to be reactive rather than proactive. I can honestly admit that I'm the queen of procrastination. I have a habit of leaving things to the last minute and thinking, oh, what's the hurry? I have tons of time. Instead of doing an assignment, I plan to go out and leave it for the next day, but then something else comes up, and I don't end up doing the assignment until the night before when I have a ton of Red Bull and coffee, and I'm panicking over not having enough time. It's extremely important to develop a personal plan that includes short-term attainable goals that are easy to achieve. Clearly identify the problem that you are experiencing, as we did in step 1 and step 2, and then make a list of all the activities that are related to the problem, and then group them into 3 or 5 attainable goals. So it can't really be things like, oh, I want to live on Mars, or I want to have a pet unicorn, because those aren't really attainable goals right now. So it's important to use the SMART method, which is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. In my case, the problem is the fear of being an adult. After many deep breaths, I accepted it and moved forward. In order to find a balance, I developed the following personal plan. So here it is, Sandy Bhogul's personal plan in all its beautiful glory. So I have 3 goals there. The first one is an academic goal. Within a semester, I take 5 to 6 courses, so this goal is to achieve at least 3 A's in a semester. If I get more than 3 A's, then that would be exceeding the goal, but I'm not a genius, so 3 is a pretty good number. And then I have a time limit, and my time is till the end of the semester, which is December 2016. And my action plan to achieve this goal would be to prepare a monthly calendar with the dates of critical assignments, tests, and midterms, to visit the TA or professor at least 2 to 3 times a week, and attend a study group. The second goal is to get involved and network to improve my academic social standing. So this goal, I want it to last through the whole school year, which is till April 2017. And my action plan to achieve this goal would be to join different clubs like the Engineering Student Society, Women in Science and Engineering, apply for a VP or member position, improve my LinkedIn profile and make those connections, attend at least 1 conference. And then the third goal, which is very important, to have a healthy mind, body, and soul. Again, I want this to last through the entire school year, so till April 2017. And my action plan to achieve this would be to make at least 3 healthy lunches a week and not spend all my money on Tim Hortons, work out at least 2 to 3 or 3 times a week, go out with friends and family, and have dinner at least 2 days a week. So my final yet most important point is step 5, to welcome humor and don't sweat about the small stuff. Like they say, life is too short, and it really is. I still feel like I'm 16 at times, and I'm happy to admit that I've now realized that fighting with my sister over things like, why did you take my sweater, or why did you look at me that way, is just not something I want to waste my time on anymore. I could be doing so much more with my life. Being busy and fighting for a passionate cause that you believe in will not only help you with panicking over certain situations, but will also improve your overall existence as a human being on this beautiful planet. Oops. So spend some quality time with your friends, family, and anyone that brings a smile to your face, because you deserve it. Welcome laughter and humor into your life. A good laugh honestly goes a long way. Maintain a positive attitude and make an effort to replace negative thoughts with positive ones. When you have a good energy and a positive energy, good things will come to you. Motivate yourself or seek motivation from external sources. Sometimes you just gotta wake up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror and say, you got this. Or you can watch some of DJ Khaled's inspiring Snapchat stories. I mean, he's a pretty motivational guy. So in our society today, we are surrounded by excessive amounts of stress and pressure brought on by our parents, our culture, our competitive global society, and worst of all, ourselves. We are our own worst enemies and our own worst critics. Accept that you cannot control everything, and put your stress into perspective, and you will realize that it's not as bad as you think it is. So now as I conclude, I'd like to go over this 5 steps I have to deal with stressful situations. So step 1, again, is in any difficult situation, take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. Step 2, to acknowledge and accept the problem that you're facing. Step 3, to find a balance in your life. Step 4, to develop a plan with attainable goals and objectives. And finally, step 5, to welcome humor into your life and don't sweat about the small stuff. So now I realize that turning 20 is not going to be as bad as I thought it was. I have so much more to look forward to in my life. And if I'm able to achieve the majority of my goals I set out for this year, then I'll be just fine, and so will all of you. But when I turn 30, that'll have to be another talk. So thank you so much to the organizers, Sabrina Sethi and her squad, for doing this and for inviting me. Yep.